Hello. So, in this episode on the Let's Talk NSFW series, we are going to talk about dating do's and don'ts. And I wanted to do this because, as a 33-year-old woman trying to navigate the dating world, by herself, uh, I will be honest, I don't really have that many friends right now. Um, I've moved around a lot and I've gone through a lot in the past few years. So, I've kind of just been flying solo for a bit. But despite that, I do think I have my dog is sitting over here. I'm gonna pet my dog. She's flipping her. Despite that, I still felt inclined to want to date and you know experience intimacy in a safe way with somebody. So I'm doing this because if I could help other women or men as well navigate the dating world so they don't repeat the same mistakes I did, um, that would be great. So we can all have really happy, healthy partnerships, whatever that looks like. And it might be something more, casual. It might be something more like long term, whatever it is. But this is going to be geared towards kind of speaking towards maybe having like a solid or trying to create a solid foundation with somebody. And then whether that be something more casual, friendly, like a friendly friends with benefit situation, or with a long term. By no means am I a guru or expert on sexuality, human sexuality, or dating. I'm just looking at, if you want to look at this as like a peer to peer kind of, like if I was a friend and you just met me, or I was in your college class and we sat next to each other and we got to be friends, and then, we talked about boys and dating and stuff like that. In terms of gender, they're really, you can apply this really to men, women, in terms of your sexual orientation. I don't discriminate. I don't like to. I think love is love, and who you love is your business. But I do think that the dating etiquette is applicable to either sex, male, female, or gender, sexual orientation, whatever you prefer. Um, so I don't really know how to edit videos, so I can't be like, oh, this is the do number one over here. This is the don't over here. It's just going to be more so just me espousing and reflecting on past experiences. So let's begin. I do have a list here of things that I wrote down so to share with. So if you're going on an online dating app, you're not going to be so confused and feel like in the dark about things. Because at the end of the day, you really are the captain of the ship. Whether you're the man or woman, you decide, right, how you want the interaction to go, right? You decide how the direction you want the connection to go in, depending if you want something more like physical, right, to be a physical intimacy, or if you want more of an emotional connection, an intellectual connection. There's actually, just a side note, there's two terms I think that are important. There's something called demisexual and there's a sapiosexual. Demisexual is actually when you can't be sexually aroused until you have an emotional connection to somebody, versus sapiosexual is when you can't become sexually aroused unless you have an intellectual connection with somebody. So I found that interesting. And obviously, asexual is when you have no sexual attraction to anybody. Um, so, with that being said, let's get started. The first thing I have on the list is under do's. Listen to your feelings. So I'm going to do one do and then a don't, and then a do and a don't, to kind of go back and forth and vary it up. But the first one I have is listen to your gut feelings. Um, if I had listened to my gut feelings from the beginning, I would have saved myself so much like pain and heartache and wasted time. Um, because your gut never lies. I say energy never lies. Now, if you want to take it a step further, I will recommend. And if you're not someone that's into oracle card reading, maybe you should start. Let me tell you, this has helped me so much. It's called Neon Love, and it's an oracle card deck. And basically, it's not black magic, it's not witchcraft. On each card, there's a different word kind of pertaining. So, like, first of all, what just popped out, it says, there's cards that say, children are involved in this situation. There's a little blurb at the bottom explaining that. Arguments, and then the heartbreak, if it's a heartbreak, that symbolizes that there's like incompatibility or incongruencies. Passion, it's going to be a very passionate kind of situation. Friends with FWB, friends with benefits. So it kind of denotes different things like family. The rings are usually when you get the Cupid's arrow. The stop signs are kind of like heed, warning signs. So I do pull cards as a hobby on the side. I got into that maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. And I explain more about how I got into that in my spiritual readings. But no, I don't practice witchcraft. I don't even know how, to be honest. I don't do magic spells, anything like that. So if that's what you think this is, that's not what it is. It's intuitive reading, it's energetic reading. And, so yeah. See, like for instance, no spark at the bottom. There's no chemistry. So there's all these different types of situations like crush. They have a crush. There's one card that actually says queer. So you can tell if someone's, and if you are a card reader, you'll be able to, let me tell you, this has helped me so much figuring out what someone's intentions were with me because, people can say one thing. Oh, look, there's a card missing. There's a card that didn't pop out. Oh, look, abusive. This is another card. This is like a very powerful card. When this card comes out, this is like the toxic card. Like you do not want to proceed. I have yet to do a love reading. Maybe one day I will, like a general collective love reading. You never know. But I will say this is kind of, it goes along line with your gut feeling, because to me, energy doesn't lie. People do, but energy doesn't. So listen to what your gut is saying because usually, more often than not, it's steering you in the right direction. It's either warning you or saying, yeah, it's nudging you in a specific direction. I hope my earbuds are on. I really do. I might check for a second. Yes, they are. Yes, perfect. So another do, take initiative in initiating contact. So what this means is this is specifically for women. So I've kind of been going back and forth and I've told myself, is it right for a woman to be the one to make the first move, like in initiating contact on a dating app? Like, let's say you match with somebody, yay, woohoo, fireworks, confetti. And then now the next part in the next step in the game is to, it's not a game, I shouldn't say it's a game. The next step in the situation would be to, right, get the conversation going. I will say though that more often than not, I'm an independent woman. I I don't mind being demonstrative and getting a conversation going because I'm very outgoing as a person. I'm like once I'm kind of introverted, but once you get to know me, I open up more. So I'm kind of an ambivert, right? An introvert extrovert. But when you have that initial match with somebody, I will say in a heterosexual sense, I'm talking about the traditional sense, male, female. I do appreciate it if a guy makes that first move and makes that contact because to me that says a lot. That says that he is proactive, that he's confident in himself. He knows what he wants. He goes after it. He is, not shy and it just says a lot about his character versus someone, and they're more of a gentleman because they're making that first move. And let me think of it, it's hard to be a man, right? Think about how much pressure that is because they have to be the ones to get the ball rolling, right? And they have to say the right thing. They don't want to come off too forward. They don't want to be too flirtatious. So finding the right balance between that's kind of tricky. So I give men a lot of credit because it's scary, right? But for me as a woman, I'll be honest, I don't mind starting. That's why I put take initiative and initiating contact. So I'm going to say for both camps of people, male or female. And again, we're just going to use the heterosexual because I'm straight. So we're going to use the heterosexual dynamic or, framework to kind of go about explaining this. So whether you're male or female and you feel inclined to, don't be afraid to make the first move of like, and it's especially on a dating app to say, hey, I'm interested in you. Or even so, let's say it's not a dating app, right? Let's say you meet someone, you're at an art festival or you're maybe at the grocery store. You don't have to be like, hey, you're attractive, maybe someone, there's this new thing where I've heard of where women go to Home Depot for dating because they want to meet like a blue collar, hardworking man, I don't really have a Home Depot near me, so I'm not going to go to Home Depot, but I thought that was funny when I heard that. It's kind of a smart idea when you think about it. But there's so many people, especially when I was living in Miami, there's so many people that went to Home Depot that I was like, I didn't see anyone that I'd be like, hey, I'd want to date him. But I will say, let's say you are a man and you don't want to come off creepy, right? But you're a traditional man, you're a gentleman, and you see a pretty lady and you're like, she's someone I'd want to get to know. I will say try to find something. Don't comment her appearance. Don't, because that looks a little bit creepy. Because it looks like you're definitely, even though you might be attracted to that person physically, try to say like, hey, like, oh, I noticed you looking at the azaleas or the. I don't know. I just heard. Oh, my phone was going off. Um, if like you notice something about them in the aisle, you know, that you're in, or hey, or maybe you say, hey, can I buy you like or something, or if they need help with something, lifting something, if you're a man, help that person. Like let's say it's Home Depot, help them with that, or find something that they're looking at in the immediate surroundings, and you know, ask them about it. Like even if you like if you know where something is, be like, hey, do you know where I can find whatever, even if they're you know you don't get a store clerk, but just to get a conversation going, right? I think that says a lot about somebody. If a man's able to do that, that's like super attractive. Um, and the same thing, I would say for a woman, that's a little bit more difficult. Like if you're in your store, I've never done that myself. I will say there was a guy when I was, how old was I? 19, 20 years, 17, 18, 19. And he was a bag boy at Publix, which is our grocery store in Coral Gables. And I had such a crush on him. His name was Blake. Um, he, yeah, he was just so cute. And I remember I'd go with my dad and I'd try to like, I remember I asked him once, I literally, all I did was ask him for a bag once. He would like bag our groceries, but like, I asked him for a bag and I was like, oh, I need a bag for a science project. He's like, oh, sure, whatever. And he smiled at me and I was like, oh, you know, in my own little fantasy world, La La Land. Um, so yeah, that was that was interesting. But in terms, I'm trying to apply it to both situations. But take initiative. Like if you're a woman, don't feel bad about taking initiative. It looks more attractive, I think. Um, I will say on the flip side, which is kind of in my second page of things, um, don't I wrote. I think I wrote it in the next one. Like, don't be the one to always initiating contact. Um, like, oh, that's the next thing. But don't be overly needy and always be the one to start conversation or ask to get together. So if you notice that the conversation is waning, and I'm literally experiencing this right now, but I figured I pull cards on someone and I think he's unavailable. We'll just put it that way. I think he might have a spouse or a girlfriend, and he did not be completely honest with me. So yeah, it stings, but not so much because once I find out the truth of like why someone pulls away from me, it's like, okay, I get this now. This makes sense. Um, but in that token, I want to make it very clear, especially as a woman. I've been friends with women who literally their entire mood was dependent on whether or not a guy was going to text him back that day. I kid you not, which I'm going to make this less bright. I kid you not, where this person, and she was my friend, and I don't want to speak poorly of her, but she literally was so distraught if the guy that she was talking to did not write her back in a timely manner. This is, and she was so eager to write him and say, you know, or anything. If you're a woman, and if on the same token, if you're a man, and if you notice that a woman is not showing you interest or pulling away, you have to respect that. Not everyone is going to be interested in you. You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I'm just being honest, like, right? If I'm being forthright, like, and this is a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. And don't make them like you, because here's the thing: there's a saying which I'm gonna write it down is one man's trash is another man's treasure, and this is so true because what someone doesn't see in you, someone else will. All the things that maybe someone didn't like about you are going to be the same, like idiosyncrasies or commonalities or things or hobbies that someone else is going to be like, oh my God, let's say you like fly fishing. Let's say you like ice skating. Let's say you like to listen to podcasts on investigative journalism. I don't know. Let's say you like to do crossword puzzles or word searches, and you go on, like I have an app where I like to do word searches. Um, Maybe someone, or solitaire. I like to play solitaire. Maybe one guy doesn't like solitaire. The fact that I would do that, I mean, this hasn't happened. I'm just giving a hypothetical, but another guy will. So one man's trash is another man's treasure. But going back to what I was saying is don't be overly needy and always be the one to start conversation or ask to get together because that looks desperate. If someone is pulling back from you, that's obviously an indication that they're not as interested in you. Yes, they could be busy, right? If you are dating someone that maybe has a very demanding job, let's say they're a surgeon or a very powerful lawyer, I don't know. I'm going to say powerful. Let's say busy. I don't want to use the word powerful. Let's say they're a very busy lawyer. They have a large caseload. Let's say they're a medical director for a hospital. Let's say that they're a nurse manager for a hospital. Let's say they're a biomedical researcher or the CFO of a company. Like, let's say they're in a position of leadership in some supervisory role, right? That's very, very demanding. Let's say they own their own business. What if you're dating someone, they own their own business, they're self-employed? They have to look after their employees, or if they don't have employees, they have to take care of their inventory, their goods, their services, whatever demands or things they're offering. You have to be respectful of that. That is one aspect of it. But if you do, and people will sense this, we will sense this as humans. If you sense that there's like a disconnect in communication with somebody and they are waning, do not, please, as women, please, because this is what happens. This is why men are treating women like SHIT, or they're giving them the bare minimum, because women are enabling it. What do I mean by that? They are allowing women to be treated or benched, so to speak, right? Um, where benching basically means you're going to only give as much as you need to keep the person hooked, right? That's what benching is. I'm only going to give you as much attention as I need to make sure that you're still in my orbit, but I'm not going to give you my full attention, my undivided attention, because you're not that like a priority to me. That's not good. Um, but in the sense that if you as a woman, if you're, or a man, if you're trying to seek attention and you're trying to get this thing to work, to get off the ground, and you're constantly the one to reach out first, you're constantly the one to start the conversation, guess what? I hate to tell you, that person's not interested in you. They either are a player and they're only interested for, the thrill of the chase, because some people, that's what they want. They just want the thrill of the chase. They don't want to do the work necessary to get to know somebody. So they're going to go, okay. And then if you, let's say you're a needy person and you're being desperate, what's going to happen is that you're going to actually repel that person that you're interested in. So my next thing is, I think it was, unless it was this one, but it goes along with saying, have hobbies and a life outside of dating. So one thing I used to listen to, Matthew Hussey, I used to listen to him like a lot as a dating coach. And a high value woman, or you could say a high value man, you have hobbies, you have things to do. Dating is not going to be your primary hobby or activity. I even remind myself sometimes, like recently, I'm like, it's a lot of fun to go on Tinder or to go on a dating app and be like, oh, they're cute, they're not cute, oh, this is nice, oh, I got a match, let's talk over here. It's fun, and it's very empowering. I will say it does feed your ego a little bit, because it's kind of like when you do a slot machine in Las Vegas and you pull the lever or you press a button and you keep getting the ding 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 ding, right? If you've ever done slot machines, it's literally set up in a way to promote instant gratification, right? When you think about it. So when you get that match, like if you're going through a bunch of things and when you get that match, it's like, you see, you're like, yay. And then, if things don't turn out the way that you hope they would, like let's say that match, that person's not initiating contact, they're not writing you frequently or consistently, you're going to be really bummed out. So I highly recommend, have hobbies, have a life outside dating. Like, do stuff. Don't be tied to your phone. Once you do have an initial contact with somebody, don't be on your phone 24/7. And I'm saying this from experience, because I've been where I've done that, where I've been like, oh my God, are they going to write me? Oh my God, yeah. No, you don't want to do that. You want to have self-control, which I should have written down. That's a good one. I'm going to write that down. Have self-control. Don't be tied to your phone. It's not the end all be all. And you want to have things to do. You want to have hobbies. You want to you want to be productive and busy, because that's also going to contribute to your character as a person. Because if you think of that, ask yourself, this is something else. Would you want to date you? Right? If you're talking about self-development and character improvement, right? Would you want to date you? Would you want to take you out on a date? I think I would. I would want to take myself out on a date. I could be kind of chatty, but I would think that I'm pretty well-rounded and dynamic, and I have a lot of, I have a plethora of life experiences that I can share with somebody, like of different things. So, um, yeah. So, but definitely I will say have hobbies, have a life outside of dating. Let's go to a don't. Don't get in someone's car on the first date. I learned this the hard way, meaning even if they offer to drive you back home, don't do it. You don't know that person. You might be in cloud nine because they're super cute and they smell good and they have nice cologne on and they're wearing a nice dress shirt, and you're feeling horny or whatever. Don't do it. I'm telling you, because you don't know what's in that person's car. Um, you don't know what they might expect from you. There's a lot of trafficking situations that happen as well, sex trafficking, human trafficking. Um, I nearly almost lost my life after getting in the car with somebody a few months back, where I actually to go to their house, um, to do a house visit with them, like to hang out at their house. I regret that. I put my trust in too easily. I'm gonna put that. Don't trust someone too easily. Um, I'm just gonna write this down. Um, and you may disagree with me and say, oh, but what if they offer, what if you don't have a car, or I don't have a car? And I still will make sure I'm not gonna, and I have, let me tell you, I have made the mistake where I have gotten in the car with some people. I should have said no, because you don't know them. You don't know them. You don't know what's in their car. You don't know if they can. I know that sounds bad, and I'm not trying to be like the Debbie Downer and the bearer of bad news, but it's the truth. You have to look out for your safety. I have learned in the past 4 years that unfortunately the world we live in is not all, but I try to live very optimistically and positively. I believe in positive psychology. I believe in trying to speak faith into your future and all of those wonderful things. Like when you talk about the motivational speakers like Tony Robbins, um, there's a lady, Maria something something, for Nio. I'm sorry if I mispronounce her name. Um, I used to listen to Joel Osteen a lot. Like there's a lot of motivational people, and I do align with that. But I also, the past few years, I have had to step up in terms of my situational awareness, um, my assessment skills of certain situations, um, my antennas in terms of, I call them like my spidey senses. I've had to like really hone in on those, um, because I learned that unfortunately the world that I thought we lived in was not the same one that I grew up in. Meaning my child, all these things I realized, oh my God, I was like, man, people are really cruel, down to like people that you would never think that work in like in the public sector, like civil service and stuff like that. Um, so be mindful, please. I'm telling you, please don't be. I trust me. You're talking to someone who waited until she was 32 to have sex, and so I wasn't there. There is a reason for that. I've mentioned it on my channel, but I also, because of that, I was very naive, and I still am. There's still some things that I'm still learning about, in terms of sexuality, in terms of different, let me tell you that it's spanned, there's such a spectrum. I didn't even know that existed when it comes to sex. So just look out for yourself. This also, the next one, talking about safety, this is a do. It kind of goes in tandem. Meet halfway for a date. Um, or there's a reason why I put that, meet halfway, and you might say, oh no, but he should come to you. The man needs to make the effort to come to you. Um, I think, well, if you have a car, this is more doable. If you have public transit, this is also doable. Um, but there's a reason for that. If you're going to come into your town, if you don't have discipline, if you don't have boundaries, and I'm working on this myself, that person could say, hey, let's go back to your apartment. Hey, do you want to meet back at your place? Um, or I'll drive you back home. You set yourself up for possibly having this window. I mean, now granted, let me take it back a step. Um, if you are strictly seeking a physical connection with somebody, then you agree, these are the parameters, these are the boundaries, this is what I am okay with, this is what I'm not okay with, then that's your prerogative. Just be mindful still though that you are meeting someone for the first time and it is your home, right? They are a stranger. But I did put meet someone halfway for the date. Um, if they do come to you, try to go somewhere that's not so close to your home if you're not looking for something casual or friends with benefits. Just that's my word to you. Also, I wrote meet in the daytime for coffee or lunch. And if it's dinner, be mindful that it is going to be, if you're trying to really establish, and this is something I want to share with, it doesn't matter if you are seeking something casual or something strictly physical. I still would say this goes with my next step is vet that person before meeting them. So what does that mean? I'm going to kind of tie it in with that. Um, Even if you're, like I said, if you're just solely looking for something physical, like a hookup or whatever, I know this may sound crazy and I'm speaking from experience because I look back at the connections that I've made in the past year and a half, right, that I've been dating or sexually active. And some of them I regret not having vetted them because I met them on the app. We texted a little bit. Maybe they gave me their phone number. Some of them I didn't video chat them before. I didn't do a FaceTime, like meet, and then we might have been intimate or, hooked up with one another, whatever you want to call it. And then I find out, I get a gut feeling and I go, they maybe are married or they have a girlfriend or they were bi or maybe they were gay and they were exploring. And this comes with the whole meeting in the daytime and coffee and things because I think there needs to be a set plan when you do meet someone. Because again, I've made the mistakes where I haven't done this, and I take accountability wholeheartedly because I still consider myself very new, even though I look old. I'm 33. I haven't had the same experience that maybe you've had when you were 23 or 22 and you're in college maybe and you're listening from a dorm, or maybe you're at home and you live at home still, and you're still with your parents and you're 19 years old or 20, I don't know. There's so many different scenarios and things. Um, I will say though, just to set yourself up for success, um, if we're talking about a vetting process, what do I mean by that? Let's say you've gotten to the point where you match with someone, right? You have a good rapport going. There's a good flow of conversation. There's rapport meaning like there's some, back and forth reciprocal communication happening. It's consistent. You're not the only one to initiate the contact. They initiate the contact. You ask a question, they reply, etc., etc. Now you get to the point where they're like, I'd really like to get to meet you. This is where it's either gonna be, oh, if he's a gentleman, right? Or a traditional guy, he'll say, hey, can I get your number? Or I'd really love to meet up with you. Can we meet a time? Can we have a time to meet? This is where, as a woman, what I believe is what women should do is you have to vet that person. Hold off. I know this might sound crazy, but trust me, I think I'm going to try to test this out with me and myself. I don't know how successful it'll be, but I'm going to test it out because I've noticed that I've had a string lately of these kind of hot to trot in the beginning and then they slowly just fade away after that first day of like, ooh, ah, yay, great chemistry. And then, it starts to fall to the wayside once the sexy pictures and all that happens or sexy talk or whatever. And flirtatiousness and seductive, all that sexy stuff happens. And then that it kind of just dissolves, right? The communication wanes, it dissolves. So to prevent that from happening, or to keep the flow going, right, is since you're in the driver's seat, right? Like let's say they ask for your number. Number one, I do recommend, and I wrote this down, which I haven't done. I did create a second number for a business that I was about to do like inside sales for here in Vermont. But I do recommend that you get a second phone number. I might start utilizing that because you don't want to give out. So I read this, I don't know if it was on Quora or Google, but someone said that they never ever give out their phone number. I think it was on Quora or Reddit. And they said, no, I never give out my phone number on Tinder because that's super personal and they can come stalk you. They can do a lot of things after they have your phone number. So I was like, okay, this is a good idea. So Google Voice has a service and it's free. They basically tie, you get a secondary phone number and it's tied to your actual phone number, your carrier, like whatever you pay for, right? Um, it is a little funky though when you like dial a number out. It's gonna say calling, whatever, reaching out to. So and then someone, it might just be mindful if someone calls you, it may say speak. It might say like say state your name and whatever, and then they'll say John Bigsby. I don't know, and then they'll connect you to your phone, right? So there is also another app that I have yet to try out. It's called 11:11 on the clock. Make a wish. Make a wish. Um, what was I going to? No, I don't. I want my things to stay connected. Okay, good. They're still connected. The app is called Text Now. Looks like this. I have yet to use it. I have not made a phone number, but apparently you can get a new phone number with your phone service, like for free, um, which I think is pretty neat. I think it's actually a good idea to do that, to be honest, um, because you save yourself. I mean, because the thing is, you don't know who you're talking to, right? And then once you really, let's say it's 1, 2, 3 months down the line and you really like that person, you could say, hey, just so you know, this is my real phone number. Or maybe even after like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, like a month, you say, hey, this is my phone number, my real phone number. I use that to make sure as a safety precaution. And if they like you, they'll understand. And if they're weird about it, just say, I've had bad experiences before where, I don't know, you can say someone stalked me, whatever. I mean, you want to be truthful, but you just say you're looking out for yourself and you've heard horror stories about people, abusing other people with stalking and hacking and stuff. Um, but yeah, so vetting them, I would say, first of all, you can either continue to talk on the app or, which I do recommend, I recommend you talk on the app until you meet in person. You don't give your phone number out until you meet in person. And like I said, I've made this mistake time and time again where I give my number out too soon. Now, if you're like, I don't know, that seems really like too picky and like high standards and like, that's too much. I don't care if you give like, some of you might be like, I don't care if I give my number out, whatever. Then give the other number. Give that secondary number. Just trust me, it's in the long run. It'll behoove you to do so. Now, let's say you're in the vetting process, right? You haven't met the person yet. They want to meet you. They like the vibe. On some of the dating apps, there is a feature. I guess I'm making this specific to dating apps because that's what I'm using right now to date. I don't go to a gym here. I don't really go to the market here. I get my groceries delivered to me because I don't have a car. So that's just my situation. And the one person I meet at the post office, he seems very friendly, but I don't really get that vibe that there's like you know, an interest there in that respect. So, yeah. Anyways, so what I recommend is before you meet that person in person, there's on some dating apps, there is a feature where you can video chat with that person. If they don't want to video chat with you, that is because they are hiding something from you. And I'm being dead ass honest. If they do not want to video chat with you, right, face to face, FaceTime, that means either A, they're not interested in getting to know you, and hear me out when I say this, please heed this, please. They don't want to get to know you, or they're hiding secrets and they're catfishing you, and they don't really look like the photos that, they put up on their profile. Those are the two reasons. Either they're not really want to get to know you on a more serious level, or they're not who they say they are. There's also a call feature on the apps as well, where you can initiate a phone call through the app. That's also a safer option. Um, and another part of the vetting process is this is something I do regret in the past not doing. Get their full name. Just like anything else, if you go to your student in a class, you work in an office building, everyone knows each other's last name. It's the same thing. Like imagine like you're going into an interview. They know your last name, I know their last name, right? It's a mutual, like a societal norm, if you will. And too often I look in the past and I go, oh my God, I've slept with people that I don't know their last name. That's crazy. I was on a first name basis with people. I did not know their last name. And it shocked me. I'm like, oh my God, I need to like slap myself for that, you know? Um, because I want to know the person that I'm being intimate with. And I realized after, I was like, I need to know who they are. Another part of the vetting process, once you know that, do not be afraid to go on LinkedIn. It's not stalkerish behavior. You're going out with a stranger. And God forbid, if you are, not God forbid, if you are seeking out physical intimacy, right? If you're doing a friends with benefits situation, that person, you don't know if they have venereal diseases, you don't know if they have STIs, STDs. Do yourself a service to look them up. See if they have a Twitter. Put in their last name. See if I've had things where I've looked up people, even someone that I was like intimate with right in the beginning when I started doing this, and I looked at this thing and I go, that's not who, like he has a business, like it wasn't, there was something that he didn't tell me about, and I found out he like had a business or something, and I was like, this is weird. I was like, okay, and I ignored it. I actually ignored it. I was like, oh, whatever, I'll let it fly, you know. Um, so yes, vet the person, and even if you, I mean, it sounds crazy, but I know that there's an app called T. I don't know if it's spelled the T, but basically it's made for women by women, and it's they literally get all the profiles of people and they like of the men and they put notes about like to warn women about, oh, this guy's a player, this one cheats and whatever. They do have a background check capability. I mean, it sounds crazy. It really does. It sounds very like, oh, that's such like that's so high maintenance and what a Karen would do. Hey, listen, trust me, I've been there where I've matched with someone on a dating app and, you know, they were cute, whatever. Then we got to talking and it was a very short amount of talking. The same day, basically, we met and we would, you know, I guess we call it shaboinky or boinky. Um, uh, that's what I'm going to call it. There was actually a content creator, he used the word shaboink. So I'm going to call it shaboinking. We ended up shaboinking. And I look back and I'm like, do I regret it? Some of it I look back and I'm like, man, I could have been a little bit more, not mature. I am still kind of naive in some things because I'm still, you know, it's only been a year or something since I've been sexually active. So, you know, I cut myself some slack in that respect. Um, but yeah, vet the person, get to know them, get their last name. Um, like I said, don't get in the car with them on the first date. Just don't, even if they offer that. Um, Meet the person, like I said, in the daytime for coffee first. And this might sound, let me tell you, this might sound crazy to you. I have learned that even if you want to do friends with benefits or something casual, still go out, meet somewhere, meet that person first. In fact, I'm going to take it a step before. Talk to them at least, have 2 or 3 conversations on the phone, at least 2. Because here's the thing, when you talk to somebody, you learn about them. You learn about their past, um, their intentions for the future. You learn about anything. You can find hidden things. Like, for example, like if someone, let's say you meet with someone, but then, or you match with them, but they're really taken, right? Or they're already like dating somebody, or they have somebody in their life and they're hiding that. I've learned from past experience that people that already have a spouse or have something going on, they're not going to be as available. They're not going to be as communicative. And that's just the way it is. They're going to keep secrets. So you'll know, right? You'll know by someone's level of, I wrote it here. Um, I wrote, how a man treats you is how they feel about you and shows that their level of interest in you, right? I'll say it again. How a man treats you is really, it shows how they feel about you and their level of interest in you, right? So what does that mean? How they communicate with you, how they talk to you, right? Are they texting you like often, right? If a guy is not texting you often, I guarantee 100,010%, he either has other people in his back pocket that are options, which is okay. You can have options, right? But you want to be respectful of people too, right? You don't want to be a jerk. You don't want to like ghost somebody. Like that's just jerkish behavior, right? You don't want to do that. So whether you're a male or female, um, because it looks really immature and petty. Um, but I will say though that that is such a good indication because you'll know whether someone really does like you, like if they are interested in you, because they're gonna make that effort to get to know you, right? They're gonna text you, they're gonna, make plans to see you, that kind of thing. Um, Next thing I wrote here, don't very self-explanatory. Sorry, I apologize. I was yawning. I'm sorry. Um, don't play hard to get. Don't play mind games. This isn't middle school. This is not high school. This is not college. This is we're adults, right? Um, well, sorry, I take it back. You are an adult in college, so I take it back. So if you're in college, you watch this, please disregard, scratch that. I will say, do what playing hard to get. What does that mean? That's like being picky and choosy with when you want to respond back to someone. Like playing hard to get could be like, let's say I match with someone and you're not super available. Like you're very like you'll dangle the carrot, and you'll dangle the carrot and tease them, but then you'll pull back and like you're basically that's like playing games. You don't want to do that. If you are a mature, confident young woman or young man or older man, whatever, if you're mature and emotionally intelligent, you're not going to play games with people. Nobody has time for that. Whether you're doing a casual thing or a not so casual thing. Um, Next one, which kind of goes along with the vetting process, which I forgot to mention. Establish a game plan for payments on a date. I've ended up on a date where I've just two instances actually. One of them I kind of let slide because he said he was coming from Canada, so I wasn't like whatever, but I ended up paying almost like $40, I think. But I wasn't really, I ended up paying for his beer. I paid for my meal. Actually, sorry, we shared the meal. It was a pesto pasta. We shared the meal. Because I don't know how hungry he was, but I let him have some of it. We split it. And then when the time came for the check, he goes, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have my credit card, or my credit card won't work here because he came from Canada. Common knowledge and common sense would say he would have thought it through, right? If he knew, and he knew we were going to a restaurant, as a gentleman, he would have set that up prior and looked up and said, okay, let me figure out what credit card I have that would work for this American restaurant or whatever, for their POS system. So that was a red flag there, and I should have heeded that, and I didn't. I let it slide. Um, but another time I was in Philadelphia and the guy, I said, oh yeah, he agreed we would meet for coffee, for cappuccino, like later in the evening and go for a walk. And we ended up doing this and he puts his hand on the counter. It comes time to pay for the gelato. I go, we had gelato each. It was expensive too. We got gelato and we got cappuccinos. And he put his arm on the counter and I was, the check, the guy's like, okay, the pronto. Pronto, I think is check in Italian. It was an Italian place. And then I'll never forget, he puts his arm in the thing and like waiting as if to like, and I'm like, okay, I don't, and then he's like, and I'm like, and then so I go to get my card and he's like, yeah, thanks. He's like, I appreciate it. He's like, I don't have anything on me right now. I'm like, let me tell you, I know old school way is that the man is supposed to pay. I didn't have that rhyme on purpose, but it is true. The old school way is that a man's supposed to pay, right? I think now in the modern day like that we're living in, I'm okay if like I split something with a guy because he's working hard. I'm not working right now. But if I was working, um, I would look at it like, to me, I think it's okay if people split something, right? Because also too, it makes it more friendly and casual when you split something, the bill, or versus like when the guy pays for the whole thing, it's like, and who knows how much it might cost too. Unless he has a good paying job and he can afford it, then more power to him. But like, I think I will say establish, and what I mean by establish a game plan, say beforehand, hey, I would love to meet you. I need to spit something out. 2 seconds. I need to spit something out. I have phlegm. Whew. So I need to take a nap after this because I'm kind of sleepy. Um, so yeah, establish a game plan. Like, say, okay, we're gonna, you're gonna meet up at a certain place, and then you're gonna decide. You say, hey, we'll split the bill. Easy peasy, right? And if you feel awkward about it, just say, yeah, we'll split the bill. And then if he's a gentleman and he surprises you by paying for the bill, be like, wow, thank you so much. Don't be like, oh, don't be, don't be like me, where I'd be like, oh my god, no, you don't have to. It's okay. It's like, no. If a man offers to do that, let him. Because knowing me, I'd be like, no, 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 don't worry, it's okay. Like, we'll split it. No, accept the gift, accept the gesture, the kind gesture, and that's it. Um, Moving along, be clear and upfront about dating intentions. Be cautious. Don't take someone's word for it. So I've fallen prey to where, in fact, the first guy that I really ever, in terms of Bumble, right, when I got to Virginia, he, I'll never forget his profile. That was such a, I was to say a bee sting, but he on his profile, he had looking for, and I kid you not, he had an engagement ring emoji, he had the house emoji, he had the children emoji, he had the key, like basically all the things, right? And I was like, okay, um, I was like, let's see. I was like, okay, interesting. I was like, he seems like like forward minded, forward thinking. Like this is, he wants something serious, like something serious. And then turns out, then we hooked up. He was actually the first person I ever slept with. And then after that, I get told, um, the only thing I can do right now or I'm available for is a sexual connection. I can't really do anything emotional. So then that made me go, oh, does he have a girlfriend? Does he have a wife? Does he have something else going on? Um, it left me really confused, and I felt so blindsided because honestly, I was like, I go, but you said in your profile that, and he's like, yeah, I think, I'm not ready, and I changed my mind, and I was like, wow. And mind you, and this is when I say don't ever beg to, like, don't be needy, don't be the one to start a conversation. I said, but what if I'll never forget, I said, well, what if we compromise? What if I show you, I wanted to be like what's it like in the Star Wars, like not a Jedi, a Padawan, like when you first learn. I think I said, I'll be the Padawan and you be my Jedi teacher, in terms of sex, because I wanted to know about sex. So I made a compromise. I was like, maybe you teach me about that, and we do that, and then I show you the meaning of like what it truly means to be, like cared for and loved by somebody. Um, and lo and behold, didn't work out. I don't talk to that man at all anymore. I don't resent him. I'm indifferent at this point, honestly. Um, because it was very with him, and on my sharing, it was because of that. This is why exactly I say be clear about and upfront about your intentions with the person. I will say though, I was blindsided because I was told that he wanted something long term. He was looking for a long term, relationship down the line, and I didn't. That's not what happened. So I'm just trying to prevent that from happening for other people. So that's why we're like, don't take someone's word for it. Um, Also, don't make excuses for his behavior or dismiss red flags. Do not do that. One of the biggest red flags, and I'm going to go back to that situation, and with someone else too. I used to put off if a guy took me a long time to text back. And I know I said before, oh, have hobbies, don't be tied to your phone. But there are instances where some men will take eons to write you back. And in this day and age, we have email correspondences, we have instant messenger on IG and Facebook, you have WhatsApp. There's so many avenues to communicate with people. And if a man cannot, or woman, whatever you prefer, um, if they cannot reciprocate or at least demonstrate proper phone etiquette and reply you back within, I don't know, what's a reasonable time frame? At least 4 hours, maybe 5 or 6. If it's a work day, that's understandable. Maybe like at least when they get off work, like if it's 6 or 7 o'clock, right? Like let's say you text them at like 2 or 3, right? And it come like 7 or 8 o'clock. There should be a like a hey, I got home text, or like hey, we can talk maybe in an hour or so after I take a shower. If it goes a day and they like that's let's say you text someone, let's say it's two, like it's afternoon, right? You say good morning, like let's say they say good morning to you, right? And that's at 8 a.m. You write them at like 2 o'clock, whatever. Oh, how's your day? A day goes by and it's not until the next morning girl. To me, that's inexcusable. I think that's a red flag. It's like, what do they have going on? They couldn't text you at the evening. The evening time is our wind down time. Let's be honest. For me, I'm a night owl, so I'm up at night. My brain is very active at night. But more often than not, people are busy. Like, they're not busy. They're winding down. They're taking a shower. They have dinner. It is very easy for someone to get their phone. And plus, like, this is my nightstand. I have my phone right here. It's so easy to be like, okay, hey, you know, whatever, like, oh, I got your text. So do not give excuses for someone's behavior. Do not tolerate the bare minimum, which that should be another don't. Do not tolerate the bare minimum, which kind of goes along with the next one. Don't make him a priority if he treats you like an option. Being treated like an option, what does that look like? Let's break it down and conceptualize it. That's basically like your sprinkled breadcrumbs. You're benched. There's like a card in here that says benched. I'll only give you enough attention just to keep you hooked, right? Or in my orbit. Um, an option is they're not going to really make plans with you, right? You're not going to have solid plans. You're going to always kind of be like the backup person, that's just the way it is. Um, you're not going to be their priority. So when someone's a priority, they are, hey, how are you? Good morning. Like, how's your day going? Midday. Oh, did you enjoy your lunch? Oh, are you going to get home safe? Make sure you don't call me that's like a priority. When someone wants you when they want to integrate you into their life, that's making someone a priority, right? Versus like they write you once out of that one day and that was in the morning and then that's it. That's you're not really, and this is true even, let me be honest, for friends with benefits too, or something more casual. It's the same thing, you know. And maybe beforehand, if you do friends with benefits or casual, have the discussion. Like, say, what do you want this situation to look like? Are we going to be talking all the time? Do you want us to be like texting? When do you want to hang out? Do you want to hang out on a weekday or on like a weekend? Or do you want, like, how do you want this to play out, right? Because then if you're doing that and it's, you don't have those clear expectations or delineations, you're going to get in muddy, murky waters, because then you're going to be like, oh, but I expected it to turn out like this, but then it turned out like the other way, right? You're going to get disappointed. So have the talk beforehand, be like, hey, in terms of communication. Now, if you're going for a regular thing, I would say that should be, I mean, even so, you should say, yeah, I am looking to have consistent communication with somebody, and I do want to have a friend to talk to and get to know. So, like just recently I made a decision to cut off things with someone else who I realized we had very good physical, like we did get together before a few months ago, but we had very good, like physical chemistry, like the attraction was there, but the conversation was not. Like, and he said he was getting a certificate or degree in cybersecurity, and I would love, my brain, I love to learn about anything and everything. I don't even care if it's about botany, like horticulturalism, archaeology. I love to learn little tidbits about everything. History, journalism, agriculture, whatever, right? And I asked him, and I realized he never got back to me about it. And then I had to, say, I think, it's better that maybe we just, you know, table table the get together for now. So, um, so yeah, don't make him a priority if he treats you like an option. Let's go back to the do's. Like I said, be clear about your dating intentions. I want to go back to that one. What I mean by that is, are you looking for something long term? Are you looking for something short term? Are you looking for something physical? Like on Tinder, they have a thing that says short term fun. I feel like they should make one. It sounds bad. I promise I'm not like what we say in Spanish, a puta. But because I waited so long, it's like my brain is like, oh my God, sex, this is woo, yay. But I have to remind myself to like tone it down and scale it back a bit. It's like, imagine like discovering your femininity for the first time, not like as a young girl, but like you discover your body and your womanhood and all this stuff. And like, it's pretty fascinating to me. So, yeah. But anyways, that's why I realized I feel like on Tinder they should have a long-term fun option. which is kind of like, it's basically friends with benefits, because they short-term fun makes it seem like you want a one-night stand, and it's like, no, what if you don't want a one-night stand? What if you just want someone's companionship, but you do value physical intimacy, you know? Um, but yes, be clear about your dating intentions, and you'll learn about their dating intentions through conversation. Have conversation. Um, big, big do. This is a big one. Slow down when it comes to sex and set boundaries. What do I mean by that? I've made the mistake of, because the attraction was there, like, I'm telling you, especially recently, I'm like, whoo, some of the men that I've matched with, I'm like, woo, holy Jesus. It's like, fire alarm, like, woo, very steamy, hot and heavy. And I'm not talking like in person, this is virtually. And I'm like, whoa, I'm not used to that. It was something new to me. But anyways, I think next time I would slow my roll. I would have, I wouldn't have been so eager, right? Like, oh, let's do the sexting thing. I would have been more like, let's get to know each other first. Let's talk about the things that we like, talk about the things that make us happy or bring us joy, or things we're working on, right? Or things we're fan of, music, movies, whatever. And yes, I will be honest, if it gets to the topic of sex, because that, if you're open about that, if you're okay with that topic and sexuality, it might go there, and there might be this natural organic progression into that topic of conversation. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I will say pace yourself, because if you give everything up too soon, if that person is a jerk, they'll use you and they'll go, oh, I got what I want. I got the sexy pictures. I got, you know, shaboinky type of stuff. Shaboinky meaning sexy, you know, veering on almost the edge of nudity, so be mindful, because some people are jerks and they will use you and they will confuse you or try to manipulate you to get something out of you. And then you'll be left like, oh shit, like I got manipulated and abused, and so to prevent that, I think that's why I say the talking is important. And if you're like, but it's just a hookup, like I don't want to talk to them, you should. And the reason why I say this is because I think, to me, in my opinion, from what I've learned, the best sexual experiences happen when there is a genuine connection between both people. Because anybody can have sex with anybody, right? A woman could get on top of a man could get on top of a woman and gyrate and thrust and all these things, but that's not gonna, what's really gonna make it really good is the connection you have with that person. And what I mean by connection, I mean the rapport. I mean the flirtatious back and forth banter. I mean I'm talking intellectual stimulation. I'm talking conversation. I'm talking what makes you tick, what doesn't make you tick. I'm talking the foreplay of the before, talking about how do you want to be touched? How do you want that? All makes it better. Trust me. Like, after what I've learned waiting so long for that, I've learned, I was like, you know what? It's so much better when you actually like the person, because if you just somebody, right? Anybody could do that. Dogs do it, snakes do it, foxes do it, cows do it. That's how we, right? That's how we procreate. But between humans, what makes it really amazing is when there's this almost synergistic, symbiotic, like if you look at the way, I don't know if it's osmosis or like the way like little cells move, like like the plasma, and again, I'm making it back to medicine, but like that's kind of the way I see it, is like you want this synergistic, very organic flow. And then imagine having a really good connection with somebody, right? Imagine like having a really strong, like, the sexual chemistry is there, the intellectual chemistry is there, the mental stimulation. You carry that into the bedroom and you hold off on sex. Let's say, okay, let's be realistic. Let's say you're doing a friends with benefits situation, right? Or something casual. And you started on a Sunday or Monday, you match. Let's say it's not until, which it sounds crazy, it's a week later. Let's say you've talked all week and it's like Sunday, and you vetted the person, you know they're real, you did the FaceTime, whatever, and you're gonna get ready maybe to meet them, right? for the first date. I'm not talking for like sexy time date. I'm talking you meet them for the initial first get together, right? Think of it like an interview, right? When you do your preliminary interview, when they call you, a recruiter's like, hey, let me tell you about so and so, whatever company. Um, Actually, I take it back. The preliminary would have been the phone call that you have already beforehand. You meet them. This is the sit down first meet and greet, right? Imagine how good that meet and greet is going to be. You're going to have all this other stuff to talk about, and then you already know a little bit about them. And then you do that, and then you decide you're like, hey, this is someone I want to get to know more intimately. Think of whatever, even if it's just a week or 2 weeks, you already have something to go off of, right? And then you carry that. That, I think, that seems ideal to me, you know. And for me, I've made a mistake where I match, and then that same day it's like bam, 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 shaboinky, and then the shaboinky sexiness vibe dies because the shaboinky used what they got, or you know, whatever, or they got their sexy pics or whatever. Um, uh, I wrote here, if you need to tell a man how to treat you, he doesn't deserve you. If you have to tell a man, meaning like if you have to explain to a man what you, not in terms of sex or physical, I'm talking about as a person, like how they treat, how, like if I've been in a situation numerous times where I've had to tell the guy, basically it's like pulling teeth, like talk to me more. I feel like I've gotten someone by the shoulders and been like, not really, but like, I feel like through text message, I've been like, talk to me more. Like, you're not talking to me. Um, you don't want to have to say, hey, I want us to, I mean, you can open, like communicate openly and honestly, but like, you know, if you have to do that over and over again, that's a major red flag. Um, I wrote, let's go to a don't. I may need water. Excuse me. I wrote, don't be overly demanding. Don't have extremely high expectations. Um, I think it's okay to have deal breakers and kind of standards in terms of like across the board, like my deal breakers. I'm a little bit more lenient on, I'm not really too big on it, marijuana and cannabis use. But if it's like at a social setting, like if they do it once in a blue moon at a park, I'm like, whatever. But I don't want someone who smokes every single day and gets high. I just, that's for me. I don't want that. I'm not privy to the smell of it. I also vaping. I'm not big on vaping. I'm not big on what else? Obviously Satanism. If they practice some weird cultish religion, then no. Also, I'm not big if someone like tries to push politics down my throat or is overly religious. I actually, and mind you, I'm spiritual. Like I believe in God and all that, but like I'm not gonna like push and be like, you need to read the Bible every day. I'm not gonna be like that. I'm just like, I know God, whatever, something is there. I respect that. That's it, right? Um, but I put don't be overly demanding, and especially for women. You know, I've learned there's some women that once they get in a relationship, they become, or they're dating, they become such either mothers to people, like to men, or they henpeck the men, or you know, they're nitpicky, or they want it this way and that way, and it's like, oh my God, like good Lord Jesus. Um, Now onto the do's. It says, do have open, honest communications about sex and what you like and what they like. I think that's really important. Once you get to the stage, if you are at that stage with somebody, um, I think that's super important because you're going to learn about a lot about a person by their sexual tastes and preferences. Um, so yeah, I think that's important. Um, right? Because you want to, and if, and I'm, let me tell you, and this, I want to reiterate this and be really, and emphasize this. This is coming from someone I waited, and yes, I have seen porn. I'm not going to be like, I'm not a sinner because of it, that I learned about sex. Through that. It was an educational thing, right? I looked at it as an educational thing. Maybe now it would be more of like a self-pleasure masturbation thing, but at the time when I was 19, 20, 21 years old, I looked at it as an information thing. Um, you get to know, right? Like as a woman, I will say if you're a woman and you feel ashamed in your marriage to talk about oral sex, to talk about proper grooming techniques for a woman. If you can't talk about that with your husband or your boyfriend, then that's not a good relationship. You need to be open. There should be no evasiveness or ambiguity. If you let's say you're a woman and you're like, but I don't want to push him too much. I don't want to. We keep it very, PG, and it's missionary and this and that. And let's say you're curious, you want to try something else. Don't be afraid to, like, I've learned. Let me tell you, I've learned life is so short. Like, literally, you can die tomorrow. And let's say you're a woman and you're like, I want to try. So something I want to try is Kama Sutra. So basically, like, it's in Tantra yoga. It's the more spiritually inclined act of sensuality or lovemaking, right, or intercourse between two people. You're basically practicing like mindful sex. So you're not. It's not just you could fuck somebody, right? But this is like you're literally like the whole sensation, the sensorial experience of like touching and gazing into each other's eyes and holding somebody and like stroking someone's neck and really taking the time, right? And making it more languid, right? Um, that's something I'm interested in, like experiencing, right? Um, I don't know if someone else would be, but let's say you've been doing the same thing and I mean, I don't know, I've never been married. I don't have a husband, so I don't know what that's like, but let's say you're a married woman and you know your husband's body, which is rightly so. You're married, what's theirs is yours and vice versa. You know, when you marry someone, you marry mind, body, and soul, right? So kudos to married people out there. If you're in your like 10th year, 15th year of marriage, kudos to you. You should give yourself a big celebration. Because especially nowadays, it's really hard, I think, for people to stay together because people cheat. There's infidelity everywhere. And it's easily accessible too. So, anyways, my point is, let's say you're like, but I don't want to watch porn. You don't have to. But, if you're someone that you want to try new things, don't be afraid to tell your boyfriend or your partner, hey, would you be okay giving me oral or going down on me or whatever? And if he's like, I don't know, maybe ask him like what's keeping you from. I'm very honest. Like I go, I wouldn't. I say I don't. For me, I wouldn't want a man in my crotch unless I had like, it might sound really derogatory, but I call it my baby shoot. No, the vagina is a baby shoot. So, you know, um, there's other people call it their beaver, coochie, these terms, but I will say that like you want to be like I try to be mindful of a partner. If I want to be coiffured and properly clean, and there is such a thing as body odor and bacterial vaginosis, and I don't want any yeast infections. Like I don't want any of that. So I try to be mindful of that, and that's what I mean by having honest, open communication. If you get to that point with somebody, right? Because you're going to be sharing your body, right? You're going to be naked, and there's cojones, there's things, and so you want to be very open about it. And if they can't be open about it, or here's another thing too, if a man only cares about getting off or finishing or coming, that is a really big um, red flag, I think. To me, from what I've learned, if a man is only solely focused on his pleasure and his pleasure only, no bueno. You want somebody that's going to be, I care about you, and they're not just going to use your body as an orifice to stick their thing in, to be like, because it's going to hurt. If you're not prepared for it, it's going to hurt. So you don't want that. Um, so that a don't. Let's go back to the don'ts. Don't get okay. This is important. Don't get jealous if they talk to other people on dating apps. I've honestly, energetically, because I'm intuitive, I've sensed other guys getting angry that I know it sounds weird. I am kind of, I would say, psychic-ish, but I have the spidey senses, the sixth sense, right? I've sensed it where a guy might get jealous if I've talked to other people on apps, and I can't physically like see them, but I felt this energy because also too, I'll notice that they won't maybe write me back right away, and because who knows who, and some social circles are small, and it is a small world, and one guy may know another guy, and word gets around, and so but I want to say, don't get jealous if someone else talks to other people on a dating app. Like, as a woman, I'm not going to get mad if a guy is talking to other people, and it's a dating app. It's not. It's literally like it's the like if you go to a conference and you go to the welcoming brunch, right? And they place you get your your table assignment, right? Um, and they place you at a specific table, that's a welcome brunch. That's the introduction, right? It's the same idea. The dating app is just basically another platform or another conduit to be able to initiate contact with someone else, right? Um, I think I feel like I've sensed the energy where literally I'll be talking to one guy and I feel like some other guy's going to get jealous that, maybe we had a whole conversation and then, I'm off, I go on Bumble, like let's say I'm on Hinge, I'm talking to one guy on Hinge, we have a great conversation, it lasts for almost an hour and a half, and then we talk on the phone, not like through the Hinge aspect, right? Um, and then I go off the next day or the same night and I look at my matches on Bumble and I talk with those guys. A guy that's confident in himself, right? And if he really likes you, he's gonna, or same thing if you're a guy listening to this and you're getting advice to date women or whatever. Um, if that person really likes you, they're gonna make their, not like in a needy way, but they're gonna make their efforts known, right? Not to say may the best man win, but it's kind of this idea that like, no one should get ever, especially once it gets to the point, because dating, to me, dating, what that means is you can have different people that you're talking to. You can, and then you slowly, like you think of the Bachelor, Bachelorette show, right? They start out with this whole big pool of people, and then they do the little, like, it's a very drastic way of going about it, but they get in the room and then they have their little mingles and then they give the rose out. They're like, okay, I like you because of the conversation, whatever. It's the same idea. You're narrowing down your pool by talking and commingling with different people. And I do feel like sometimes people need to cut people slack because, like, I maybe want to talk to different people, but once it gets to the point where maybe I'm talking to two or three different people, right? And again, think of like the Bachelor, Bachelorette, they get down to like the final three, they do the fantasy suites, they go on the extravagant trip to whatever, this amazing date somewhere, and then they make their final decision. It's kind of like that. That's how I look at it. And then I will say, once you made the conscious decision to say, hey, I want to date you exclusively or be intimate with you exclusively, then it would be like, if you started talking to other people, that would be like sus and weird. you know, that would be veering on the lines of like cheating and infidelity. So, but I think when you're in the infancy stages of just on a dating app talking to people, there is nothing wrong with talking to different people. Like nothing wrong. I used to be like, oh my God, if someone, like I used to think guys were such players if they had 4 or 5 women on their roster on a dating app. It's not. It's so and to be honest, some of those profiles might be fake. Some of them might be catfishes. Some people that you match with won't even write back to you. They'll literally like go poof, like you never existed, and they'll ghost you. So, that's how I see that. Um, I already said, have um, hobbies and a life outside of dating, um, which also kind of lends itself. But don't become obsessed with dating apps and be on them 24/7. That's desperate. You don't want to chase, you attract, which is what Kendall Jenner said. Actually, I forgot where I heard that. She says you don't chase, you attract. Or she says I don't chase, I attract, and it's true because as exciting and fun as dating can be, and it's fun to be like, oh my God, what a cute guy, he's so attractive. And then in your mind, you have the highlight reel, like, oh my God, I wonder what it's gonna like be like if we went out to dinner or if he kissed me or if we had sex. Like that's, your mind goes there. But don't become obsessed with it because to be honest, that person that you're putting on a pedestal might not even be really as much interested in you as you are in them, or it might not even work out. You might be incompatible, and then you hyped yourself up for no reason. So have the hobbies outside of that and separate, like use the dating apps. Maybe you assign a certain time to go on the dating app and you say, okay, I'll be on it for 5 to 10 minutes and that's it. If you're going to be on there for 20 minutes scrolling, like, and if it's not having, meaning like if you're swiping for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I don't think that's not good. Maybe 5 minutes here and there, 10 minutes at most. Just, oh, okay, who's on there today? Boom, boom. Now, if you have a match with someone, I will say, yeah, maybe be more cognizant and respectful of their time, and be courteous and polite. Which, again, goes to have proper online app etiquette, which I kind of talked about communication and stuff like that. In that token, though, I did want to mention, if you do ever get to the point where you want to unmatch from somebody, the only time I give an explanation for why I'm unmatching somebody is if I've had a substantial amount of conversation with them, But if there's no chemistry, if there's no reciprocity in communication, I am, that's it, out, 86 it. I don't give any. I used to, every guy that I used to match from, even if I didn't, if I barely heard from them and they just wrote one sentence, I would be like, hi, I know we matched whatever, but I don't want to be rude. And I really did like you and I think you're really cute, but I'm not really feeling any chemistry right now. But if you did write me back a little bit, like I would give a whole explanation. No, they're not putting in the time or effort. They don't deserve, they're not worth your time. Delete. Boop. Right? Weed out the weeds, essentially. But for the people that are giving their time to you and investing in you, show proper etiquette, write them back in a reasonable time frame, um, be proper, don't be too forward, um, don't obviously don't solicit sexual favors. Bumble's not meant for that, and Tinder either. Um, uh, I wrote, this goes with the vetting process. Talk and get to know them, no matter if it's short term, long term, casual, friends with benefits. I already mentioned that before, like meaning like vet them, get to know them beforehand. And this, I will re-emphasize that in the sense that this is key because you're gonna learn what their likes and dislikes are sexually. You're gonna learn their likes and dislikes personally as a person. So if you don't talk to them and go through that stage of like vetting them and at least talking on the phone, talking on the app, you're doing yourself a disservice because ultimately your relationship or that your connection with that person is going to be based on like nothing, but maybe just sexual or physical attraction. And hey, if that's what you want, then that's what you want. I'm not going to judge you. But for me, I like to have some sort of a connection with somebody. Um, Another do is have someone to call if you're uncomfortable or feel unsafe. I did write have that's the I already mentioned that before. Having a second phone number. Um, like if you don't want to give your real number out, you can get a second phone number through Google Voice or through that other app. But really, what I wrote, have someone to call if uncomfortable, feel unsafe. What I mean by that is have like an emergency contact, have a friend, um, or something on your phone, have an out. Because if you feel uncomfortable in any way, and I've witnessed this as a server so many times at a restaurant I worked at, where the guy, our restaurant was like his go-to Bumble spot. Because you would see him, he used to sit at the bar and he had two phones. He would like have his flip phone and he has iPhone and he would scroll through whatever. And I'm like, bro, he would always bring a new girl every week. It was really funny. One of the girls gave me the eye and she was like, she almost was saying like, I think she was like very uncomfortable and he was trying to like push her to do things and stuff. And she gave this, she was like frozen. And I don't know if she went to the bathroom, but she actually got up and left. Like she was giving me like a look like I'm not comfortable right now. Please like help me. So yeah, it was a bit of a creepy situation. So have someone to call if it's uncomfortable, or feels unsafe. Um, and then I think I have the last two. Interesting. I wrote, keep your sex life and dating life private with others. Don't say or any. This is important actually. Don't say or anything or post anything on social media or anywhere until you both agree to make it official and be exclusive. So it's kind of like if you get a job, I've learned this the hard way. If you get a job, do not post it on LinkedIn like you got the position. Wait until you pass the probationary period for 3 months to post it. The same thing I think applies in the dating life. You have people who are putting up pictures of their relationship, stuff like that. They're changing their status. I know we live in a very high tech digital age world right now, so everything literally is like we're being bombarded and inundated with data and information and ads and propaganda and media all at once, right? And within that, we have this ability to showcase like me, like I vlog about my life and about how I'm healing from trauma and stuff like that. The same thing happens like if I ever were to date someone seriously, I don't know if I wouldn't sit there and talk about my sex life or dating or how things are going. Um, Maybe yeah, I'd show them on and be like, oh, this is my whatever, after it got a certain amount of time. But for other people, like for people that are not vlogging or I'm just doing this, it's almost like not a research project, but like I'm doing this to help other people who have gone through trauma, and I want to be a form of like peer support, basically. Um, but don't put anything up on social media until you agree with that person, until you know you're like, yeah, we're exclusive, whatever. Um, right? Get their consent first too. Ask them, is this the right time? Can we do this? Whatever. Um, Last one, be mindful of what you snap, sext. It never goes away. Revenge porn is a thing, and there's also AI and deep fakes now. They use your voice, they use your face, and they'll pretend to be you. It's crazy what technology can do. Because and I say this about the snaps and the sexting because if you think it goes away, no. I watched a whole documentary about that. Basically, it's called Love Int, LOVE space int, meaning love intelligence, and it was, I don't know why it was on, but it showed up on my TV one day in the news thing, and it was a documentary basically about how people that work in law enforcement and things like that, or someone has your phone number, or they know someone in law enforcement, they can basically, what they can do is they can spy on you and use love intelligence, whatever. And in that documentary, what he said is that there are buildings dedicated to servers that are the size of one room that basically store every single text message, every single like photo shared, iCloud, everything is stored on these servers. They're like mega servers, basically. So if you think that your sexy photos, and this is why I'm very careful about it, your sexy photos are whatever, no, no. And maybe you're someone that doesn't care. You're like, oh, but I don't care if someone sees my genitalia, or you better care because someone could use that against you. And like I said, revenge porn is a thing. Unless you're a sex worker, or yeah, and even actually, I take it back. Even if let's say you're not on a porn site, like let's say there's the OnlyFans thing, like where you get to subscribe or whatever, and like still people don't want their business out in public, right? To be shown. Um, so it's, you want to be mindful, you know. Um, my biggest takeaways though, I will say, my favorite thing is what I've learned truly is how a man treats you, like how someone treats you is their indicates their level of interest in you, right? The level of effort that they put forth is the indication of how they feel about you, right? Or how a man treats you is how they feel about you and shows their level of interest in you. If you have someone who is taking forever to write you back, they're not interested. I'm sorry, but they have other things going on. They may have a wife, they may have a family, and you need to like swallow that pill and say, okay, that's that. Don't make excuses for it. Don't try to change them to be someone that they're not. Don't make deals with them like, oh, don't do that. Trust me, you will save yourself a lot of heartbreak and heartache, and you'll maybe have lost the time you could have spent hanging out with the right person. You spent it with the wrong person. Um, and also, when someone shows you who they are at the very beginning, trust that. If you see any signs at all of like someone who is obnoxious or vain or narcissistic, or makes fun of other people, listen to that. Watch the way someone treats a server. Watch the way someone treats the postman. Watch the way they treat other animals that aren't their own. Um, um, yeah, and you're going to learn a lot about a person that way. So I hope this helps. Those are my dating do's and don'ts. Um, like anything, life is a journey. We're not going to get it right the first time. But I will say, though, listen to your gut, heed your intuition. It's there for a reason. Um, and don't ever be so needy where you chase somebody. And if someone, and please, for the love of God, as women, do not accept the bare minimum just to have a warm body next to you. Buy a body pillow. I would buy a body pillow, but like, and they actually look pretty comfy, but really comfy. But yeah, and if you sense any weird shenanigans or funny business about somebody and they're like, oh, but I travel all the time, or like I said, if they're not talking to you, like if they're not opening up to you about their life, they most likely might be keeping secrets that they don't want you to know. Like, oh, they have a wife or they have a family, back home. So unless you're okay with that, if you're okay with the E&M thing and you want to be someone's mistress and you want to be Jolene, like Dolly Parton's Jolene, 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 don't take my man, whatever. I don't know the whole song. I should, because it's like an iconic song. Um, so yeah, I don't want to be a Jolene, that's for sure. And that's why, I have my deck and I'm like, oh, this person's unavailable. Um, so yeah, those are my dating do's and don'ts. As I maybe I'll do a part two later on. I was kind of considering doing a video. How do I know if someone likes me or likes you? Um, really quickly, a little sneak preview. How do you know if someone will like you or does like you? One, they'll want to be around you all the time. They'll want to actually talk to you. They'll text you, right? They'll call you. That's pretty like straightforward. Um, they may look at you or catch glances, trying to stare at you, stuff like that. Um, they do little things. Maybe they buy you like flowers, or they hold the door open for you, things like that. Um, if they try to act like they want to make you as part of their life, like integrate you into part of their, like if they're talking to the point like future tense, like let's say you just start talking to someone and it's a month or 2 months in, and they go, they're like, oh yeah, I would love to go to St. Thomas or St. Bart's. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. Like, I want to go to Fort Lauderdale, Las Olas, or something for spring break. Or no, not for spring break. Let's say for like in the summertime, like in August. And they tell you about this trip, and then they're like, yeah, I would love for you to come. Whatever. That's future tense. That's a good sign. So little things like that. And then on the other flip side, how do you tell if someone's not interested in you? Trust me, you'll know. They won't be putting forth the effort. Um, their responses are going to be really short, especially on a dating app. They're going to be like, yeah, okay. They won't ask you questions either. It'll be very one-sided, like, oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I did that one time. Yeah, my dog's name is Rex. Yes, I like the color purple. Like, it's going to be very, like, monotone, right? Um, no variation, no questions, no reciprocity. So, um, and anything else, if a guy doesn't like you, yeah, they won't make plans to see you. Or they'll only see you at a certain time, and so like a time of day. So those are my tidbits of information. Thank you so much for watching, and I do hope this helps somebody in the future. i'm trying to I'm trying to give you the lessons and wisdom that I wish I had known going into it before I started dating.